All right, so this is springtime, it's March. This is the time where I do a lot of reloading and getting my rifles dialed in and sighted in, and I work on loads, a lot of loads during this time before the fall. And right now I'm working on a 6.5 Creedmoor load, and I kind of had I've been shooting 6.5 Creedmoor for a couple years once it got popular. I know there's a lot of haters and a lot of like 6.5 Creedmoor obsessive people. I'm kind of in the middle. I think that 6.5 Creedmoor does and always will have a place in hunting and for sure in long range rifle target shooting. But I think that we need to take one step into a little bit further into the actual hunting ballistics about it, because when the 6.5 Creedmoor came onto the market, it was basically a target shooter's gun, and we adopted as hunters, and the factory ammo people, Hornady specifically, adopted the target shooter's loads for hunting. And that being said, I've used those loads. One of those is this guy, Precision Hunter 143 ELDX. Shoots fantastic. One really nice thing about the 6.5 Creedmoor, you can find really awesome factory ammo, and it really shoots good out of most guns. I don't usually hear of too many guns not shooting 6.5 Creedmoor well, sub MOA. That's my qualification for shooting it halfway decent. It's most Creedmoors will shoot sub MOA. And when we started using this for deer hunting specifically, Coues whitetail, javelina, and mule deer, we've been using this load for a while. We've been just because it's so easy and I can buy a ton of ammo, and it shoots really good. It's a 1/4 inch MOA, and out of multiple different guns. And it's hard to change from a load that shoots that good. But what I was finding on actual results, from, like I said, even down to a javelina, to a Coues deer, to a mule deer, we never use it on elk. And I know I have good buddies that have used it, and friends that have used it on elk and long range, and they've been successful. For the record, I've never lost, or any of my clients have never lost an animal shot with one of our 6.5 Creedmoors shooting this particular recipe. But I was always underwhelmed with the performance on actual game. The box says it's going 2,700 feet per second out of the muzzle, which, as most of you know, that is not a hard, fast velocity, depending on what your barrel length is and depending on multiple different factors, as far as your environmental conditions. But let's just say, for the most part, it's a 2,700 feet per second type deal. It doesn't perform with the ELDX. It doesn't have the impact on the target, on the animal, to what I would like. I guess I've seen a lot of animals shot, and we started transitioning to all of our hunters, really encouraging all of our hunters, if they're shooting an ELDX, to shoot bone. So shoulders are really what we're talking about here, is to really aim for the shoulder, because that's the only way we can get optimal performance out of a slow moving jacketed the ELDX bullet. It's not moving very fast, and then when you're shooting something at 500 yards, 600 yards, it didn't open up, and it didn't have a lot of real shock factor to the animal, which that's how bullets do a lot of their destruction of the animal, and that's how most of them kill. So I had enough brass, so after a couple years I kind of made a decision. I've got enough brass. I played around this year with HSM. I don't have the box, I don't think. I played around with some HSM ammo, and without shooting the 140 burgers, and it was shooting pretty much the same velocity, and those did just fine. But now the 6.5 PRC has come out, so which really bridged that gap of like a high performing 140 to 150 grain projectile and still not a whole lot of recoil, but still can handle elk and deer for sure. So what I want to do is really customize my 6.5 load to fit coos deer hunting or mule deer hunting. Most of the animals that I've seen shot require multiple shots, especially mule deer. We've had multiple mule deer get shot. They're a bigger animal, and good solid shots where thought for sure, I'm like, that's all it needs. We're just gonna wait, and it ended up needing another shot, a follow-up shot or two, which is not ideal, not from my perspective. So what I want to do, and this is what I've been working on, is I want to kind of extend the velocities a little bit and shoot the 130 Burger hunting bullet. And I've already messed around with it a little bit, and I'm getting about 2850 to 2900 just depending on the load. And I really think this load is going to be ideal for deer size game. I'm not looking for a one hole group. That's really not, it doesn't really translate into the hunting realm as much, because in hunting situations, I don't care how good of a shooter you are when you have adrenaline and when you have weather and when you have different shooting positions, whether you're prone, you're off a tripod, a quarter-inch group or a one-hole group doesn't really translate when you're shooting that off a bench rest. What I believe is a hotter 130 load will bridge that gap between a 6.5 target rifle, factory ammo, and the 6.5 PRC, which most of the guys shooting 6.5 PRC right now are going to transition to the 156 grain bullet that Burger came out with. And if they don't, I think they should. And that's not to say anything bad about the ELDX specifically, because I've seen it work really awesome out of like 28 Nosler. I've seen the impact. I've seen it perform really well. I want to be very confident when one of my hunters pulls the trigger that the bullet is going to go where he pulls it's intended to, and the bullet is going to do what we want it to and to kill quickly. So what I've got right now is what I've loaded is, my current load is, I'm using this H4350, shooting 43 grains. I've done it all the way up to, I basically just kind of, worked up the load to where I'm not seeing any stress on the brass. And kind of my overall outlook on the 6.5 Creedmoor as a hunting cartridge and its future and its value in the hunting community and shooting community together. And that's it. I'm gonna come back and when I start, I'm gonna start loading for the Creedmoor here soon, and I'll just give you guys, next episode I'll give you guys a little look at just how I do things. Pretty simple, as you can kind of get a feel of. I try to keep things pretty simple and not get too complicated, but maintain accuracy and do the important things right. I think the fundamentals are very important, whether you're shooting or reloading or hunting, any of that. Fundamentals are extremely important in this game. So give me any feedback about the 6.5 Creedmoor or whatever you think. If you have any suggestions or if you have a different load that you think might work better, I'm always looking for different stuff and trying new things. So that's kind of how I've got to where I've gotten, with this specific load. I've just been trying some stuff. So, all right, we'll see you next time.